You're in the rainforest doing something extremely human, which is pretending you understand nature because the leaves look peaceful and nothing has screamed at you yet. Then your hand, your foot, or whatever innocent body part decided to touch the wrong thing suddenly gets hit with a pain so sharp your brain skips every useful thought and goes straight to, cool, I have been chosen. Not by destiny, by a bullet ant. And no, that name is not one of those dramatic animal names where it turns out the creature is mostly harmless and just has a bad publicist. This one earned it. You feel the sting, and immediately your nervous system starts acting like someone plugged a live wire into your soul. Your body has no elegant response for this. There is no stay calm mode. There is only you, standing there, trying to process how something so tiny just made your entire personality leave the building. Welcome to CAPY CHAOS LAB, where science turns into a story and somehow you're the test subject. So yeah, you just got stung by a bullet ant. Your first thought is probably, it's an ant. How bad can that be? Which is adorable, because what you expect is a regular insect sting. A quick zap, a little swelling, maybe some dramatic complaining for attention. What you actually get is pain with ambition, pain with a long-term plan, pain that shows up like it pays rent there. Here's the thing. A bullet ant sting hurts so much, not because the ant is physically huge, but because its venom messes with how your nerves send signals. Your body runs on electrical messages. Nerves talk to your brain by passing along tiny charged signals, kind of like text messages, except way less polite. Bullet ant venom contains a toxin called ponerotoxin, and its whole gimmick is interfering with sodium channels. Sodium channels are tiny gates on nerve cells that help electrical signals move. When those gates get messed with, your nerves stop acting normal and start acting like every alarm in a building went off because somebody burned toast. So the sting lands, and the local nerves begin screaming, not talking, not reporting, screaming. Burning pain, throbbing pain, sharp pain, pain that somehow feels bright. Your brain gets flooded with signals and goes, okay, apparently the entire leg is now a national emergency. Even if the sting itself looks small, the message your nervous system sends can feel enormous. That's the twist. Tiny wound, massive signal. Nature loves that trick. Now your stress response joins in, because apparently one disaster at a time was too organized. Heart rate goes up. Breathing changes. You get sweaty, maybe shaky. Maybe you start pacing around like movement is going to negotiate with chemistry. It won't. This is your body doing emergency math. It has detected something weird, painful, and biologically disrespectful, so it starts throwing every basic survival setting into high gear. Anyways, while your brain is trying to decide whether this counts as a spiritual experience, the area around the sting becomes the center of the universe. You expect the pain to sit politely in one spot. It does not. It radiates. It pulses. It makes the whole limb feel suspicious. That doesn't mean the venom is racing through you like a movie villain in a ventilation shaft. It means your nerves share pathways, and once enough of them get activated, your brain starts treating the whole neighborhood like it's under attack. And then comes the deeply offensive part. This can last, not ow for a minute, last hours. Sometimes the pain sticks around like it forgot to leave, and every time you think, okay, maybe it's easing up, your nerves go, actually, here's another reminder. It's like being texted by pain every few minutes with no option to mute the chat. If you're enjoying this guided tour through premium insect nonsense, hit like and subscribe. It helps the lab, and more importantly, it helps justify what your nervous system is about to go through next. Because now we need to talk about what the venom is doing after that first shock hits, why the pain can feel weirdly electric, and why your body starts reacting like a tiny ant just pressed every button on the control panel at once. So now you're standing there, trying to act normal while your body is clearly filing for emotional compensation. The sting site is still yelling, your brain is still overreacting in self-defense, and you're probably doing that thing where you stare at the ant like, really? You? This was your whole plan? And the answer is yes. This tiny forest menace absolutely came prepared. Here's where it gets weird. You'd think the pain would be simple. Sting happens, nerves complain, end of story. But bullet ant venom does not believe in clean storytelling. The toxin keeps interfering with the way nerve cells fire, which means the pain can feel unstable. Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it throbs. Sometimes it shoots through the area like your body installed bad wiring 5 minutes ago. It's not just pain sitting there, it's pain improvising. That's because your nerves don't just send one signal and go home. They fire in patterns. And when those patterns get messed with, your brain gets confusing updates. 1 second it's sharp pain, the next it's buzzing, then deep ache. Then, why does this whole limb feel personally insulted? Your nervous system is basically trying to send a clear message through a keyboard that now types 4 wrong letters every time you hit one key. Now, what you expect at this point is swelling and maybe a bit of redness. Totally reasonable. What you actually get is your body recruiting extra drama from multiple departments. Local inflammation starts building. Blood flow increases. Fluids shift into the area. Immune signals show up like coworkers pretending they understand the emergency. This part is your body trying to help, which is sweet in theory, except it also makes everything feel louder. More pressure, more warmth, more sensitivity. Great job, team. Very calming. Then you make the mistake of trying to use the limb normally. Maybe you step on it. Maybe you grip something. Maybe you just exist too confidently. And suddenly your body reminds you that regular movement has been canceled until further notice. That's another rude little twist. The sting may be small, but normal sensations can start feeling completely unreasonable because the nerves in that area are now hypersensitive. Hypersensitive basically means the volume knob got cranked up and then snapped off in your hand. And then there's the shaking. Not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's more obvious. But a lot of people describe this restless, jittery, almost electric feeling that makes it hard to settle down. You're not imagining it. Your nerves are misfiring, your stress hormones are up, and your muscles are getting mixed messages from the world's angriest group chat. Relaxing becomes less of a choice and more of a funny little fantasy. Anyways, this is the point where your brain starts doing something deeply unhelpful but extremely human. It begins a full body audit. Why is my heart doing that? Why am I sweating? Is my leg heavier? Can pain have opinions? And to be fair, this confusion makes sense. Pain that intense can make everything feel suspicious. Your brain hates uncertainty, so once the signal gets big enough, it starts checking every other system like a manager walking into a kitchen after hearing glass break. Now, scientifically, what's happening is actually pretty interesting, which is fortunate because emotionally it's a scam. The venom doesn't need to destroy tissue in some dramatic way to ruin your day. It just needs to interfere with communication. That's the core trick. If your nerve signals become too active, too repetitive, or too chaotic, the experience can feel way bigger than the physical sting itself. Tiny source, giant broadcast. Like one guy with a microphone somehow ruining an entire stadium. And just when you think, okay, at least it's only the pain, your body adds another plot twist. Because once your stress response and nerve response start feeding off each other, the whole experience can feel strangely systemic. Not because the ant is winning some final boss battle, but because your body's background systems are starting to notice the noise. And that is exactly where this whole thing stops being a really bad sting and starts turning into full-on biological chaos. So yeah, the bullet ant sting has already ruined your local area code. But now your body is doing that deeply annoying thing where it decides one bad signal deserves everybody's attention. You expected one small zone of suffering. What you got is a nervous system-wide press release. Here's the thing. Once your nerves start firing too much, your brain doesn't always keep the reaction neatly boxed up. Pain is supposed to be useful. It tells you where the problem is, how intense it is, and whether you should stop doing whatever stupid thing caused it. But with venom interfering with the wiring, the message gets messy. Your brain starts reading the signal less like small injury and more like something important is very wrong, and I would like everyone to panic efficiently. That's why the whole experience can start feeling bigger than the sting site. You may feel restless, shaky, weirdly sweaty, or just profoundly uncomfortable in a way that's hard to describe without sounding dramatic. Which is rude, because if you try to explain it to somebody, you sound like you're losing a fight with an invisible ghost. No, seriously, my arm feels loud. That is not a sentence you ever expect to say with conviction. Now, the twist is that the venom is not necessarily spreading through your body like some cartoon villain with a suitcase. A lot of the chaos comes from signal amplification. Your nerves are overreacting, your brain is zoomed in, stress hormones are doing cardio, and suddenly everything feels more intense. It's like the biological version of getting one notification and then checking your phone every 6 seconds for an hour. The original event may be local, but the consequences become emotional, electrical, and extremely annoying. Then your muscles start getting involved, because apparently they heard there was free chaos. Muscles listen to nerves. If the nerve signals are messy, muscles can feel twitchy, tense, restless, or just generally offended. Not full-on movie-level drama, just enough to make you think, why is my body acting like it drank 6 coffees and then got insulted? That jittery quality is part of what makes this sting feel so personal. It doesn't just hurt, it recruits. And while all that is happening, your immune system is still doing its polite little cleanup operation in the background. Inflammation continues. The area may stay warm, swollen, hypersensitive. That part sounds normal enough until you realize your nerves are still acting like every touch is a betrayal. The pressure of clothing, the shift of weight, even your own heartbeat can suddenly feel way too involved in the story. Your body has entered that strange mode where everything is technically working, but none of it is being normal about it. Anyways, here comes one of the meanest little twists. You might get a stretch where it feels slightly better. Not good, not peaceful, just less illegal. And the second you think, okay, maybe I'm coming out of this, the pain surges again, because nerves and inflammation do not care about your optimism. They calm down unevenly. They do not follow a schedule. Recovery in this situation feels less like a straight line and more like a raccoon running across a piano. Scientifically, this makes sense. Nerve irritation can come in waves, and your brain's interpretation of pain changes depending on stress, movement, fatigue, and how loudly the signals keep arriving. So the experience can fluctuate. Better, worse, weirdly electric, then dull, then suddenly sharp again. Your body is not broken, it's just doing a very messy reset. And now you're stuck in the most unfair phase of the whole thing. Waiting. Waiting to see whether the worst has passed, whether your limb will stop acting haunted, and whether your nervous system will finally remember that the ant has already left the chat. Which brings us to the next part, how your body actually clears this mess, why the pain can linger for hours, and the exact moment you go from "I'll be fine" to "I now respect tiny insects more than most people." So now you've been humbled by an insect with the attitude of a supervillain, and the question becomes, how does your body actually get out of this mess? Because right now it feels like the Venom walked in, grabbed the microphone, and started screaming directly into your nervous system. The good news is your body is built to clear foreign chemicals. The bad news is it does not always do it on your emotional schedule. First, the Venom components start getting carried away from the sting site through your tissues and bloodstream. Then your body begins the slow, annoying process of breaking things down, filtering things out, and calming the overreaction. Your liver and kidneys help with the cleanup. Your immune system keeps managing the inflammation. Your nerves, ideally, start remembering how to behave like professionals again. The whole process is less switch flipped off and more everybody in the building slowly stops yelling. That's why the pain can last for hours. Not because the ant keeps stinging you from a hidden location like a tiny paid assassin. It's because nerve irritation takes time to settle. And once your brain has been getting nonstop danger messages, it does not instantly go, "Ah yes, all good now." It stays alert. It keeps checking. It becomes the biological equivalent of someone hearing one weird sound at night and then inspecting every room with a baseball bat. And this is where people get tricked. You start feeling a little better, so naturally you become overconfident for no reason. You put weight on it. You use the limb normally. You say something brave and embarrassing like, "Honestly, I'm fine." Then the pain swings back around and reminds you that recovery is not a straight line. It's a messy fade-out, like a bad party where half the guests have left, but one guy is still shouting in the kitchen. Here's the thing. Most of the time, the sting is brutally painful without turning into some huge medical emergency. But usually miserable is not the same as always harmless. If symptoms start spreading in a way that feels wrong, if breathing gets difficult, if swallowing becomes hard, if you feel faint, or if your body is clearly escalating instead of calming down, that is not a toughness contest. That is a please get real help moment. Especially for kids, smaller bodies, or anyone whose system is reacting hard. Educational only, not medical advice. And honestly, that's the most annoying part of biology. The same sting can hit different people differently. One person gets a legendary pain story in a very bad afternoon. Another person gets stronger systemic symptoms and a much worse experience. Nature does not hand out equal assignments. It just hands out chaos. So, where does this land on the official CAPY CHAOS LAB scale? For pain alone, this thing is elite. Absolute premium nonsense. You got stung by something tiny, and your nervous system reacted like a fire drill. A thunderstorm and a tax audit all happened at once. That's not casual pain. That's pain with management experience. Easy 9 out of 10 on the chaos scale. 1 point removed only because, somehow, nature still has even worse ideas. And the wildest part? The bullet ant is not even doing this out of personal hatred. It's defense, hunting, survival. You just happen to be running compatible hardware. Your nerves use electrical signaling. The venom messes with electrical signaling. Nature saw the overlap and said, "That'll do." So, yeah, if anyone ever says, "It's just an ant," you now have the deeply cursed knowledge to stare at them in silence, like a war veteran. If you want the next experiment, subscribe, comment the next topic you want us to cover, and share this with a friend who thinks tiny animals are automatically harmless. Subscribe and join the experiment. Cappy's got the clipboard.